Well, hello,
Hey,
gentlemen.
guys.
Hello. Well, I
How's
guess
everyone?
we're kind of just free-forming it tonight.
Well, there is an idea that a thread that runs through what we're doing tonight.
Well, yeah, but nobody developed any script or notes for this one. I didn't.
I didn't.
either.
I have
Man.
some Twitter posts that I want to talk about,
Oh.
but other than that, okay, Steve, what's the idea for tonight?
Man, what was the topic? I gotta go look. I came up with the title, but it just escaped my.
Was
Ignore
it
the spectacle.
attention?
No, ignore the
Oh.
ignore the spectacle. Yeah. So, what spectacle should we be ignoring today, Steve?
Well, it just moves from one spectacle to the next. Everyone was talking
Yeah,
about the
smorgasbord.
election and the crying of women lamenting about our new leader, the reincarnation of Tiny Mustache Man. And he's going to take away our rights. So, okay, that was a spectacle. And then, go ahead.
So it's like a smorgasbord of spectacles.
Oh, yeah. It moves from one to the next. That's the news cycle. Then we had Trump was naming his cabinet members. Well, this is for the more intellectual, politically motivated people. So, they went into analyzing that, and lots of time spent on that. We don't even know anything about that. And then, what? We had the Syria thing, which kind of took everybody by surprise. And we had to talk about that and who's going on and who's behind it and is good or bad or, what the hell happened. And certain areas, there's a little bit of talk about the crypto. Bitcoin hit a new high today of 107,000. So some people are paying attention to that. But, oh, wait a minute. Sex. What's going on with sex?
Oh no. Do we have to?
No.
No.
Ignore the spectacle. We don't need the bread and circuses.
But you know what? Somebody's got to do something because these other things are boring. Let's talk about sex. What's going on in the world in the area of sex?
Whatever happened to the
there's a
pillory?
certain obsession there.
If you want a spectacle, the pillory would be much better.
Well, hey, we could still go down the gladiatorial route still.
Those not those type of spectacles.
I'm just saying we could go down.
Not those.
Yeah, Tacticus. I don't know that that'll help.
That brings to mind the thing we used to talk about in college: beer goggles.
Yep.
So, what is a spectacle, guys?
I would call the gladiatorial games a spectacle.
So, like bread and circuses, all the sports games, massive. Everybody wastes their whole. I mean, look, I like watching football. I can't say I'm immune to this, but where you run your life around the next spectacle to the next spectacle to the next spectacle, where you live through entertainment versus having a life yourself.
Okay. But what really is a spectacle, though? Really? I think we actually did a video on this a while back. It starts with a D.
Distraction.
Ah, yes. Spectacles are distractions. Whenever I see something getting popular, becoming the topic of the day, I always go, my first reaction anymore is to look around and go, what else is going on? What am I not seeing? And I don't necessarily assume that it's they're trying to hide something from me. It's just the world's all looking at this thing, so what else is the world not looking at?
Well, NASDAQ made a new high today. Is that what
Indeed
they don't
it
want
did.
us to see?
Generally, that's considered a good thing. That's considered a spectacle. Although I think, based on what I've seen out of prior years during trading, Christmas time not really a good time for market stuff, market spectacle stuff. People are focused on other stuff. Oh, Tacticus, we're going to get into that one too.
You had to go there.
We're going to get into that one too. The sex one just came up chronologically first, I think.
The drones thing is also related to UFOs. And there's been a cycle of UFO speculations.
Go. All right, Tacticus.
I'm not talking about it. They just come up about every 6 months. It seems like there's serious fringe talk about UFOs.
Oh, I'm the pilot. Oh God.
I don't want to debate whether it's true or not. I'm just pointing out that it comes up about every 6 months.
Well, it didn't used to. Well, and there's a lot of reasons it didn't used to. And this actually, I mean, if you want to go back to the topic of spectacle and distraction, the human brain is psychologically slow to catch up to changes in its reality. So a couple months ago, one of the astronauts on the ISS posted this really cool video. And it was the ISS was coming up to the daytime terminator. So it was going from night to day. And you could see these fireflies racing across the screen, but they always went at the same direction and the same speed. And of course, the ISS guys know exactly what that is. Those are Starlink satellites. They see this phenomenon at twice, at once every hour and a half. So, for them, it's no big deal. But for people on the ground, if you see a video of drones that are of UFOs that are moving very fast in a straight line in the night sky, well, when was that video taken is the question you need to know. Because if it was taken in near the daytime terminator, so in early morning, then you've got sunlight. The Starlink satellites have some anti-reflective coatings for certain portions, but they're not completely anti-reflective. So, and they're much higher up, so they're catching the sun about 2 to 3 hours earlier than you are, because of their altitude. So you see this little firefly streak across the sky. If another one as a pilot, Steve, UFO sightings have gone up every year, particularly every year we come out with a new quieter jet engine. And
well, that's because the aliens are down here and giving us that new technology.
Oh, okay.
So the more active they get in our life, the more they give us this
global
new
conspiracy,
technology,
like the flat Earth, right?
So
yes.
It's probably not a causation; it's just a correlation.
Oh, right. What's actually happening in reality is that because of your NIMBYs who can't stand jet noises, the engine designers have gotten really good at shoe. An orderly line of 22, which is the Starlink group, very high flying green. Green is not an uncommon color. That's a light shifting color. And go all yep. That is a Starlink train. But what's happened with the airline engines is they put out about 1/3 the noise of an old JT8D on a 727. And what that
I
means is
don't
that
know what that is, but I'm sure you do.
it's also, it's first 727, first gen 737, old planes from the 1960s. Very loud, very, very loud. You could hear them from the ground even at their cruising altitude. Well, with modern jet engines, you can't hear them from the ground anymore. And when they're coming into land, we roll the engines back to 10, 20% power. They're basically idling, or almost, because you're just using gravity and lift. So even 10,000 feet off the ground coming in on final approach, you won't hear the plane, but you'll see its lights. So if you see a triangle of lights, red, green, white, and it's moving the wrong and it's moving the wrong way, the triangle, the point of the triangle is pointing in the opposite direction. Yeah, that's just an airplane, guys.
So
Well, these aren't even
I'm sure you
intended to be
remember.
spectacles.
Right,
The
exactly.
people making it.
Exactly. Thank you, Nick. These are boring everyday occurrences that your brain hasn't caught up to. It used to be you knew it was a jet because it was loud and you could hear them everywhere. Now, at night particularly, you can't hear them. And so your brain says, "Oh, I don't know what that is." Actually, you do know what that is. So somebody was actually getting concerned about over in Newark. They posted a picture of the triangle of lights, but you could just make out the 737 body. And it was a Twitter guy. And he said, I hope people knock it off with the UFO stuff because somebody's gonna start shooting at a 737 on approach." And that actually has happened recently to a Spirit A320. So,
Oh gosh.
yeah, no, like this is, but this is the problem of the spectacle is eventually people get caught up in it and then they start doing stupid shit.
People don't have lost a moral compass too, so
That's
lost sense of of reality. It's like they're in. It's like what was it? The cargo cult. It's
yeah.
like they're cargo culted.
Well, it's Yuri Bezmenov and his demoralization, I think, is a key. He's talking about morality, not more unit morale. But what he really is trying, it's an imprecise word for what he's trying to get at, which is convincing people to reject the reality of their own eyes and ears and to hear instead what the narrative machine has to say. And
Yeah.
the to my what I can see is the narrative machine spins on, and it's not a political thing. I mean, open up Twitter right now and you'll get just deluged by drone videos and bad takes on Lily Phillips.
And flat Earth.
Yeah, there was a resurgence in the flat Earth thing a little bit right after we did our stream.
Were they mad at us?
I don't
I
know.
don't care.
I don't know. It just we talked about it, and then all of a sudden there was just a blip about flat Earth stuff, and I think that's Lily Phillips is a lot more interesting to talk about than flat Earth.
So I'd rather talk about flat Earth.
But I just have to pull this
Don't
up
feed the
for our
beast,
watchers.
guys. Come on.
Tacticus, you are correct. It is Spirit Airlines. They could have originated from inside the plane. I got to hand it to you on that one. You're right. Okay. But what's wrong with talking about Lily Phillips, guys? It's the latest talk of the town.
Because it's a spectacle. It's meant to distract you. And everybody gets so obsessed about this stupid shit, and you're actually rewarding her for her shitty behavior.
Oh, well, I have some
I-
tweets about that.
Okay. Should I bring up Edward Bernays yet?
Please do.
Okay. Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud, wrote a book, and it was titled Propaganda. And he was the darling of the ad industry. I don't think he was an ad guy, but they used that book, and it was in the teens, 20s. He wrote it, and at that time, men could do men things, and women didn't really do men things. In other words, men smoked, and men traditionally had pipes and cigars. But the cigarette was invented shortly, I don't know, teens or something like that. And they wanted to figure out how to market cigarettes to women to get them to buy it because, you'd make a lot of money if you sold cigarettes to women. So what was it? A parade in New York where he hired or some ad person, I don't know, it could have been Edward Bernays, to test out his theory. They hired a lot of women to just be out there smoking cigarettes. And it caught on. Other women saw them. I suppose they dressed them up as attractive, sophisticated women. Gee, I can be like that. And so it caught on, and that was the start of the women smoking craze. Now, with this, in the manosphere, red pill, whatever you want to call it, we've been talking about body count for years. As not a good thing. Well, to promote degeneracy. Now, I don't know if anybody has this agenda. Theoretically, it's possible. Someone wants to promote this behavior in women. So if you put a woman out there with an obscenely high count doing egregious things, then the average woman in comparison says, well, I guess I'm not so bad. Maybe I can do more of this. So it promotes, just by talking about it, promotes the extreme, and then everybody kind of moves along. Maybe you could call it the Overton window. Oh, I guess I'm not so bad. I'm still in the double digits. Does that make sense? Is there any truth to that? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, it's the hive mind. Again, like you talking about, you normalize bullshit by consensus. And so if you put it up on the media screen saying, "Oh, this is normal," well, people start to believe that stupid shit. Especially women.
Well, so Overton window, but you're also telling the women that if you want to be famous, if you want to be part of the
Attention.
spectacle, get your attention, get your clout, you have to do something crazy. Now, here's the problem with that is that's a dopamine economy. And dopamine is a hormone that you can develop a resistance to. In fact, that resistance is why, for example, if you take hard drugs like, I can't say the names, but, nose candy, for example, booger sugar, if you take those, that particular drug actually works on the same receptors as the dopamine receptors, and it's why you have to take more and more to get the same high, if you will. So for not, and this is not just for the audience of these women, this is for the women themselves too. Sex is primarily a dopamine response, and so the women also have to receive more and more dopamine, but the only way to get attention anymore is to be more and more extreme. It's why it's why there's the word I'm looking for. Transgression fetishism is a particularly dark form of sexual deviancy.
It's like the ladies that steal shit like a candy from a grocery store, and it keeps escalating.
Right.
Okay.
Transgression fetishism is similar to that. I haven't dived too deep into that, and there are people on Twitter who I follow who have. Eric S. Raymond has talked about it because he grew up around it because of the society his parents were forced to be a part of for their jobs with the State Department. But it's not necessarily sexual, but it's about getting sexual satisfaction from increasing transgressions, societal taboos of all forms, not just sexual. And so I can't say that on YouTube, but as an example, I'm going to let you guys fill in the blanks on that one because YouTube, but that is also an extreme form of dopamine response. And the spectacle is an attempt to work your dopamine response, and these women have to do it. And so so she does 100 people. We did the math. It takes her 14 hours to do 100 people. That's 5 minutes per or something like that. But what does she do now? She says, "Oh, I'm going to come out and do 1,000." Well, that's exactly what we're talking about here. She can't do what she did before. People would just go, meh, but you've already done that. Now she has to say, well, I'm going to do 1,000. It's technically possible. Mathematically, if you do 1 minute per, it'll take about 18 to 19 hours.
Gosh.
And somebody pointed out on Twitter that the actual world record is 900 something. I forget what it was, but so now now she has to break the world record.
Yeah.
That's so disgusting.
Yes. But
Do not give them attention. That's a spectacle.
Right. But it's the disgusting that grabs the attention. That disgust is one of the deepest emotions you can feel.
They had a way to deal with that, right? So you want to be a spectacle, we'll make you a spectacle. Put him in the pillory.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so repulsive that I can't help but watch it.
Ugh.
Right. And that's the point.
That's kind of the whole thing. 1,000. Oh, that's repulsive. But I can't help but pay attention because it's so repulsive. I can't look away.
Yeah. And then, of course, everyone has to start talking about it because it's disgusting. Did you see what that disgusting person did over there? Oh my God, how could they? They're horrible for doing that.
Well, let me throw out another thing to consider. I just came up with this. I don't know if it makes any sense. The Manosphere Red Pill has now been around for 15 years. And it is matured quite a bit. It used to be an obscure area, but I think, well, I know a lot of people are aware of it. I don't know if everybody's aware of it, but they've had an impact on society. Us guys getting together, sharing notes, talking about these things, working on it, trying to understand what's going on. And some of this has become commonly talked about. The psychologists are moving in to study some of these things. I mean, just look at Orion Taraban. He's not specifically part of the red pill, but he got his doctorate in that, in counseling, and he talks about the same thing. So in certain things, our ideas have become mainstream. And one of the things we talk about is body count and how important it is, which came from the religious sphere. You know, you should marry a virgin. That old, I mean, it's like, I don't know how long it's been known that the higher the number of partners a woman has, the higher her chances of divorce. Okay. So the manosphere talks about this, just basically exposing that body count is a big deal. And it's becoming known in society. But if you watch the whatever show, women just detest that you even mention it because it makes them feel bad. So to counter the influence that the red pill has on society and the concepts, well, you do this kind of thing, which promotes it and then makes higher body count normal and more mainstream. One way you basically take away the truth of what we're saying. What's another way that the red pill is they're trying to corral it and say that we're wrong? I think it's the traditional Christians that are coming in and saying, no, really, it's all the men's fault. No, you can't say that.
Oh God, Twitter has been a dumpster fire of that.
So is this some kind of pushback on the red pill? I mean, you don't know.
No, it
Did-
makes them look
did-
stupid. It makes the trad cons look like retards.
Yeah, but there's a lot of trad cons out there who absolutely believe
It's not her fault.
their own stuff.
Steve,
And
I don't even know if it's belief. I think it's they want it to be true.
well, yeah, we've talked about that.
Right.
And we don't know if somebody put Lily up to this. Did she decide to do this on her own? Or is there some promo person or someone saying, hey, we need this agenda out there. We're going to create the spectacle. We're going to use her to do it. Is there
Who
someone
cares?
influencing?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
We know her
She
mom
did
is
it.
involved.
We know her mom's involved, and
Right.
everyone's talking about that right now. You know, it's like, okay, honestly, who cares? And
Well, I don't really care. I'm just pointing out that there are growing forces trying to trivialize and demonize the red pill guys and the things they talk about.
yeah,
Oh, you mean
Is
like
it
Michael Knowles in his Semper views
absolutely? Well, okay, that's a good example. Yes.
with the red haired chick that's pretended to be a Christian that doesn't even know what the Trinity is. That's somehow now
Well,
talking about Jesus.
jury's out on that, but we agree that she should be
Yeah.
silent.
Shut the fuck up.
well,
Basically,
well,
go
Steve,
away.
see, here's the problem though that we run into is the Christians are, and I think that the whores have figured this out.
the moment you claim Christianity, the Christians are forced to start hedging their language about you. I think this is one of the things Nala figured out is that the moment
Oh,
she
you said
adopts,
her name.
yeah, the moment that that she says I'm a Christian, now you have to say, well, we don't know what's true in her heart, but we have to we have to hedge. And so, well, she might be telling the truth. Even if we don't really believe it, we have to say it. And frankly, if, Christianity is to ever save itself, it needs to get over that. It needs to say, you have gone in the public sphere and said heretical things. You are not a Christian. End of
But
Shut the
discussion.
fuck up. Shut the fuck
this
up and go
flavor,
away. Go
this
hide in
flavor
shame.
of Christianity is uniquely North American. Maybe it didn't originate here, but all this emotional talk, which predominantly comes from evangelicalism. I remember the Billy Graham crusades. He would get up there and emotionally move people, and you'd come up and do the altar call. And
Mhm.
the concept is so American that your sins are washed away and you're a new person. This this belief, although it's true, we talked about it, your spiritual penalties, if you're sincere and you do that, okay, yeah, your spiritual penalty, you're free, but that doesn't negate the temporal. But throughout history, Christianity has a long history, and if you go back in history of Christianity in Europe, especially during the persecutions, the people who offered allegiance to Caesar or ate meat that was offered to the gods or whatever, were they immediately welcomed back into the church
No.
after they said, "Oh, I've seen the light. I was wrong. Please forgive me"? Were they let back in?
No. And then you had some overreactions by the Donatists.
Okay,
Donatism. Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it wasn't a, I found Jesus. Now I get to give up, stand in front of you and educate all of you and tell you about my testimony and how Jesus saved me. And now, even though I have not studied the Bible or anything about it or theology, you should listen to me because I'm moved by the Spirit. This is so
Quakerism.
American.
That's Anabaptism, Quakerism, antinomianism to a T. That is
Yeah.
what it is.
Well, there's, I mean,
And that is what was shipped over to America.
I mean, I mean, we can say, okay, this is Anabaptism, but the people who believe it go, yeah, you're right. Isn't it great? And that's part of the problem.
Hell no.
Well, right, Nick, we all agree with you, but
Everybody thought they were crazy. Both the Protestants and the Catholics. They're like, okay, well, we both don't like these people.
well, but
Yeah.
but look at
Well,
what's
let's
happened.
let them go over to North America. We'll stay here.
Okay, Tacticus. Tradcons hope to win converts of these high-profile degens to gain kingdom cred and practice polyamory. Yeah, exactly. For the church, this is a grifting operation. This is if we consider what we said about Lily, the 100 chicks or the 100 dudes girl. And and this was all marketing, and she comes out, and she's crying afterwards. The crying, and we'll get into this because I have some tweets to show on it. The crying is marketing. Well, guess what? When the church comes out and starts pushing these, just horrifying people to the front and pushing their conversion stories out, guess what that is?
Marketing. It isn't real. And the church doesn't need it to be real. The church doesn't need her conversion to be real. It just needs her to get out there and market it. I don't know about you guys, but that's not church to me.
No, but you see it on whatever. When Andrew Wilson is on there and he's going head to head with these ladies. And they go, well, you're supposed to be Christian, but you're not nice. You hurt my feelings. Yeah, maybe you're right, but you should change the way you deliver your message and be nice. So there's this American belief that Christians are supposed to be nice and forgiving and not hurt your feelings and just be welcoming and trusting. But yeah, okay. Some Christians are that way.
I mean, yeah,
But
forgiving.
the more
sure, let's do that.
traditional,
I'm fine with that. I'm
the
fine with
traditional
forgiving.
minded Christians, which I'd call Orthodox, Catholic, Reformed, the old time Presbyterians,
Yeah.
and there's others. I'm not by no means making an exhaustive list here. They don't necessarily think that way. And probably I'd even go so far as the Methodists originally didn't think that way. But there has been movement in the general beliefs of Christians that Christians as a whole are more liberal and tolerant of egregious behavior or behavior now that would have been considered egregious behavior by our grandparents.
So Steve, we did a stream or a couple of streams a while back on a fellow. This is a guy named Trent Horn. And we
I
kind of
remember
tore,
that.
Yes.
yeah, we kind of tore him apart, right? We had a good laugh at his sophistic arguments, but there's an interesting correlation between sophistic arguments and marketing, because marketing doesn't need your argument to be good; it just needs your argument to appeal to the masses, which is what the sophists were trying to do. Okay, so would you be comfortable calling Trent Horn a Catholic marketer?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. There was a guy, Nick. You were on Pearl's show recently, and there was another
Yeah, that guy.
Christian Catholic guy there who was pushing pretty much the same message as Trent Horn. Would you call him a Catholic marketer?
Sure.
The church,
I
and
don't know
I
to the
guess
same extent, but as far as I know, yeah, sure. I guess he's a Catholic marketer. Yeah.
he makes his money, or some of his money, getting out there pushing the Catholic narrative. It is narrative pushing. It is, and the reason I say he's a Catholic marketer is because as I was listening to that stream, I noticed that he never actually refuted any argument Pearl made. All he did was recycled his preformed talking points and explanations. That's somebody who doesn't understand what they're talking about. They're just running a script or a series of a checklist of things. Okay, well, if you say this, then I have to say this, right? And if you say something that doesn't really fit into anything I have, I pick the closest one that I can find quickly and put that out there, right?
So
It didn't quite work for him. I came up with an argument he didn't expect.
Well, but that's right, and that's actually my point. He's not working the problem as a logical thinker. He's working a script, and you hit him with something that his script didn't cover. Now, the Catholic Church that he's part of, they're going to go back and they're going to work on a response to what you said.
Good luck. How about change your policy?
Well, but they will. They will go back and
Uh-huh.
try, and because that's what marketing is. You look at what the new thing that you haven't encountered for, and say, okay, how do I solve my messaging for this new thing that I haven't encountered before? It's good.
How about
Is
fixing
Trent
the actual
Horn?
problem?
Is Trent
Yeah.
Horn posturing to be the next person to go on Daily Wire?
Daily Wire. Well, Daily Wire lost to Nick's point. Yes, and is he? Well, Daily Wire needs new talent. They lost Brett Cooper here recently.
So here's a little information on Trent Horn, or the latest. Remember, we called him out for his disingenuous arguments. We took down, his debate with Pearl. Well, lately Michael Jones has called him out twice. For those of you who don't know, Michael Jones is a author. He runs Culture Wars magazine.
And he's also Catholic, isn't he?
He's Catholic. He's written about economics and art and the sexual degeneracy. Yep. And he's written some stuff about the Jews. In politically correct terms, with the wars going on, I mean, there has been a lot of people somewhat critical of the decisions and actions of the Israeli government. Let's just put it that way. And then there has been laws passed against anti-Semitism, and it's been a topic. Okay, so anyway, Trent Horn came out, basically said anti-Semitism is a sin. Or if you do this, you're guilty of anti-Semitism and you're bad because it's a sin. Well, he implied it's a sin.
That's what happens when you take post-war consensus as your morality.
Michael Jones has written about things, and he says, hey, they're just they're people. Yes, they did these things. You can criticize them just like we criticize the Germans. World War II. Yeah. Does that mean all Germans are bad? Does that mean we hate Germans? No, we can criticize them. That doesn't mean hate. Doesn't mean we're against them. And he said, where does he get off saying that this is a sin? Should you go to confession? Your priest and says, oh, I need to confess this. So that was round one. Then Trent came back, basically doubled down, but didn't mention Michael Jones, did a rebuttal, and then Michael Jones talked about it again. And I think Michael Jones does a 1-hour broadcast every Friday at 5 p.m. I know you can find it on Cozy TV, and I find it very entertaining. I like listening to that guy. I like listening to a lot of fringe guys. I'm a fringe guy, okay?
Oh,
you might be able to find Michael Jones on Rumble as well.
Well,
are you a fringe guy, Plutarch?
Not even a little bit.
Well, okay. Depends on how you define fringe.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
We talk about things that other people don't.
True. But
we have beliefs that are on the fringe. That doesn't mean we're wacky. In my opinion.
I guess they're on the fringe, although I'd say they're way more mainstream now than they were 4 years ago. And certainly more mainstream when I was reading about them back in the 2008, 9, 10. And I don't we did a whole stream laughing at the flat earthers. I did my quickest possible takedown I could of the whole drone insanity. It's UFOs are it's an unfalsifiable argument, so I mostly try not to. Is how I take a look at that, right? And I'm always looking at the argument going, can I falsify this or not? And so many arguments you can't falsify. So I kind of look and go, yeah, you're just out to lunch. I can't really engage with you. And so I guess that's really what I mean about, fringe versus not fringe. The thing about the red pill in particular is that it has actually been over time proven to be relatively accurate. I'm not going to say, like we have a monopoly on the science, but all things considered, we've done a really good job of actually finding out the truth of things. And that the truth tends to make people mad is, well, that's nothing new in history.
It doesn't fit my narrative. Oh, well, maybe your narrative is wrong.
Yeah, too bad. Yeah, exactly. Too bad.
Yeah.
So sad about that. Not really. So I mean, it is Trent headed for daily. Well, they need new talent. They got some holes to fill in their broadcast chart. We've talked before. I think we've mentioned it before. I don't know if we've talked about it in depth, but the TradCon infiltration of the red pill, I think, has been just. I think it's been a disaster for men.
Revive Dalrock. Dalrock, come back.
Well, the reason I say it's been a disaster for men is this Lily thing. And the Nala thing. And now you've got these quote unquote red pill guys out here spitting literal TradCon nonsense. Shaw was on Saturday night and I was listening to it, and he said something that I thought was great. And it was a quote he picked up from somebody else, but I want to get this quote out there. The left is misandrist. They hate men. The right is gynocentric. They love women.
You're fucked and you're fucked.
Right, exactly. And so the TradCons coming into the red pill space has been nothing but a disaster for men. And I want to pull this up because I think it's actually it's a tweet thread that I had to drill down to get what I wanted to. But so this is a fellow who has been on red pill shows, and he's responding to this tweet, and this tweet by Pearl, or it's a comment or whatever, I think is actually very telling. She's talking to this Mary Morgan chick, and she says, it's very obvious that you've never interacted with women like this, so I'm not sure why anyone would think your opinion is relevant. Okay, that's fair enough. Anyone who spent a lot of time around sex workers understands that the women that get into this industry love sex and enjoy the variety and the thrill of being on camera. The average person may not get it, but they get a high from it. It's fun. We were talking about dopamine earlier. That's the high. They cry after sex work as a marketing ploy for their future influencer career after they age out. Lana Rhoades did it. Yes, she did. Mia Khalifa did it. Oh God, have you?
Cough, red-haired chick.
Right? Yeah. Nala did it. Okay, there is a long history of this, and the evidence of this it's clear as day. And now this woman's doing it. She says management companies actually coach these women to cry about it because they know white married Christian men are the OF fan base. We've talked about that before. And Christians like yourself are dumb enough to believe in it. So your dumb takes are free funneling for her OF. Absolutely true.
Free marketing. Oh, poor me. So more subscriptions. Oh, let's support her. More attention in the spotlight.
Right.
Hence ignore the spectacle. Yeah.
This guy, he's been on Red Pill Podcast. I don't know if he's Red Pill himself, but he's been on Red Pill Podcasts. That's where he's gotten the bulk
and he
of
was
his...
just on with Pearl. Pearl and Glenn are doing some kind of collaboration show. And Glenn brought on 5 guys, including Teriak was one of them. They answered some question. I forget what it was, but I think it was Saturday or Sunday. It was only a couple days ago.
Okay. Well, here's what he says. To me, it sounds far more likely that it's the opposite, that subconsciously they regret but put on an act of false confidence to try and convince themselves what they've done is normal. Same way a drug user talks about the drug being their release and how awesome it makes them feel. And here's what I would have to say. If the person that this dude was talking about was a rando whore on the street corner of the red light district of your city, I might buy that explanation. Okay. But
Or she just got into it. Or she just
Right.
got into the OF
Yeah.
or industry, whatever.
right. But here's the deal. Pearl has actually talked to a lot of these sex workers. She's done whole shows on them.
Well, okay, it might be true of sex workers, but it's not true of other women. Like, it never happens where a wife does something wrong and it's revealed. Could be minor, could be major, could be a money thing, could be cheating, whatever. And he cries in order to not be accountable and say, "Oh, okay, she feels bad. Oh, it was so hard on you. You learned your lesson. Okay, you're forgiven. Yeah, I know it was hard on you. Yep, you don't have to suffer consequences. Do women cry? Is this a general strategy? I think so.
Oh, absolutely. I think in the specific case that's being discussed here, which is the Lily thing, it's marketing. And here's the thing, Steve, try this on for size. Is crying to get out of consequences an attempt? I mean, if marketing is an attempt to manipulate you to get you to buy something, and the woman wants you to buy the fact that they're really innocent, is the crying just not a different form of marketing to convince you to buy that they're not that they're innocent?
Yeah.
Or that it's
Yeah, absolutely.
it's and so that's why I say, even if it's not a big time OF influencer, the crying is still marketing. It's always marketing.
Every once in a while, it's hilarious. So, 2 women will be having some discussion, and it gets a little bit. One of them's, let's say, trying to teach the other one, and then the one who's feeling victimized starts crying. The other woman will call her out and say, "Just stop crying. You don't even have any tears. It's fake." She just stops right then. Every once in a while, I'll see an occurrence like that. And yeah, a lot of times they just will stop crying when they're called out and saying, "No, your crying isn't doing anything for me." And they stop.
Yep.
But these tradcons won't do that because internally they're effeminate simps. That's what they're taught in church. That's how they're reared. That is who they are.
And
they can't help but simp. And they believe all this stupid shit because women can do. They're angels. Some man must have hurt her.
And the church is their leader. The church is their leader. Yes, I'm bashing on the church here. I mean, I was thinking about this and I was like, well, is it because I was ready to say, well, Michael Knowles is their leader, is the king simp. But Michael Knowles is just doing the bidding of the church. He's just following church doctrine.
Well, guys, you don't understand. Obviously, in this case, men are the problem because there were 100 men that did bad, but only one woman who did bad.
Oh,
did a bad thing.
Oh, good night. Women aren't accountable. I guess they have no moral agency. Okay. So you're saying that they're not completely human? Oh.
So
that is what they're
we've
saying.
gotten a little bit far
I
afield.
believe they're human. That's why I believe they have moral agency, and that they do make their decisions.
When a spectacle happens, if it involves men and women, usually it's trying to promote the an agenda of the previous belief, or it's promoting a narrative. So I don't know if it's by design, or it's just people revert to their nature and these beliefs, and then they push them forward into the spectacle, and it tends to promote wrong thinking. Because once people are emotional or entertained, are actually receiving information without screening it.
Oh,
So
there's a
maybe a
line in one of my
spectacle
favorite
makes
movies.
us susceptible.
Are you not? Are you not entertained?
Right. Are you?
Yeah,
So when we, okay,
you're
we
right,
can
Steve.
talk about and we did talk about the Lily thing for a little bit, but when you are entertained, when you are focused on the spectacle, you don't get to see things like you're not paying attention to who's giving you the spectacle. You're so emotionally interested or so invested in the spectacle that you're not sitting there saying, wow, why is the church so interested in pushing this narrative of in this particular case of females are fully agents yet fully non-responsible for their actions. Why, you don't step back and say, oh well, why are you saying that? That's clearly abiblical. It's without biblical uh support. Like there's no, you can't go anywhere in the Bible and find support for this position. Why are you taking it? You're just sitting there going, because what the church really wants you to talk about, and this is narrative shaping. What the church really wants you to talk about here, and what the tradcons really want you to talk about here, is how horrible the men are for doing this to a woman.
And women like this
What's
need to be wifed up.
Yes.
They need to come to Christ, and you need to marry a 304.
Yes, okay, true. So what's the most important sex story that the church is missing?
I would say that it's the birth rate collapse. The divorce.
Bingo. Demographics, birth rate collapse. No, is the church saying, hey, you women need to get married young and have sex and have babies? No. They're saying,
Well, some
you
are.
women go do what you want, and when you come into the church, we'll forgive you and we'll find you a good man. But they don't even mention having babies at that point. There's no emphasis on the birth rate collapse.
Which is frankly the biggest, it is the problem for our age. It is going to have the most impact on us in all aspects of life, socially.
Are the tradcons talking about the birth rate?
Some.
The ones who pay attention to Ellen talk about it, Elon. They will talk about it, but only after. So here's another fun little thing. Pay attention to spectacle. About a month ago, Elon was talking all about demographics, this demographic, and he stopped. He's on other things right now. He's got other fish to fry, and all the talk on his followers died down about it right there too. He was able to generate a spectacle about the issue because he's the most followed account on Twitter. But the moment he stopped talking about it, the world stopped talking about it. And see, this is the flip side of the spectacle, right? For all the spectacles that you're talking about, think about all the ones you're not talking about it. Think about all the things that you're not paying attention to. I was telling the guys before the stream that today was great. I woke up early. I looked at Twitter. It was all about Lily and the drones, and I said, "Screw this! I'm gonna go. I'm gonna
Yep.
get. I got an early jump on my day. I got a ton of work done today." Because I looked at Twitter and I went, "Oh, you guys have nothing interesting." Okay, scroll. Yeah, okay, there's nothing here. Scroll, and then just right on to work. That is the power of ignoring the spectacle. I got stuff done that I needed to get done. I wasn't caught up in it.
Yeah, it draws you in. And then you're not even about your own mission. You're just addicted to the latest spectacle. And you're not going to perform as well because you're
Are you saying
distracted.
the spectacle itself is a form of dopamine rush?
Yes, it's and it like any other things, it can drive you from your purpose. You can be so caught up in the flesh. Let's put it that way.
Well, it
And
doesn't
the
have
latest thing.
It doesn't have to be sexual. For this drone
No.
UFO thing has been huge, and I follow a lot of aviation accounts because pilot.
Flesh is
And-
not always sexual either. That's what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, right.
It
You know,
refers to
it's-
more than just the sexual act, yeah, or sexuality.
right. You know, but so my Twitter's flooded with all the stuff about the drones. I'm quick scrolling through it, going, guys, this is so obvious. This is like, stop it with this stuff. Like, why do you care so much? If it was a huge problem, an airliner would have crashed from impacting a drone already. It's not. Let's move on. You know, like, just leave it be. It doesn't matter. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Shoot. Here we go. I'll put that up there, but I don't think I can say his name. Some things good to know, but people going nuts, like with a certain Mr. Jones, it's a panic porn. Do you mind if I take that shoe? I'm gonna take that one. Panic porn.
Yep.
You know,
That's what it is.
that's true. A lot of things he mentions do turn out to be true, but the emotional way he does it causes most people to dismiss it at the time. And it's been years since I watched much of that. I used to watch him, but nah, I don't remember when the last time I did.
Well, Steve, this reminds me of something that we've talked about in the past, and that's the emotional burnout of the red pill rage phase. And with all of this emotion going on, like, and we had talked about this before, you know, even in the red pill, there was sort of this group cultural cathartic moment, this crescendo around Fresh and Fit, right? You know, bringing on the whores and trashing them, and basically demonstrating how terrible people they are. Okay, but they're not doing it anymore. Why are they not doing it? Well, I assume because the metrics suck now. That it doesn't work now.
Well, they do have other shows that actually were pretty helpful and productive and trying to teach men things. So
but
credit
I mean,
for that. They
those
just
shows
weren't watched.
Yeah, those shows
They
weren't
weren't watched
watched.
as much.
Right.
Yeah.
No, the one that got watched was the catharsis shows of, destroy all women. But you'll note that we're kind of past that. We don't, it's not to say that individual men aren't going through the red pill rage phase, but I think and I said this before on prior streams, there's been a sort of emotional burnout from that style of content. Like, we're not interested anymore. And you talk to a lot of men, yeah, it's great fun to, watch the whores get destroyed, but it takes a lot of hours to do it. You burn a lot of hours and the emotion, and you spend more time on Reddit raging into the void, and you don't get your mission done. You don't get you.
Well,
your purpose done.
there was a collective period of time where, okay, the red pill had been talking about these topics. And then they brought women on there, and you could see it play out. Oh man, they're actually, yeah, they're demonstrating that, yeah, it's all true. And then next week, yep, these women, it's all true. It's, they're behaving the same way. And you watch a year of that. And you get, let's say you watch 50 weeks, and each time there's 10 women on there, there's 500 women. They're kind of all behaving similarly. You can put them into categories. And then, okay, next year, they bring it up, and you look at it and say, yeah, I know all this. It's boring now because I can predict exactly what's going to happen. I guess I've learned enough. And then I've entertained myself enough with it that now it's boring.
It doesn't tickle the dopamine receptors anymore. It doesn't. That's it.
So what's the next new thing?
Well, now that is the question. I don't think we'll know until where this is headed until January. What the next?
I mean, we're having lots of spectacles, but what's the next spectacle that'll last for a little bit?
I don't think we'll know till January.
Yeah.
I mean, so like the drone.
They gotta be thinking that.
Oh yeah, yeah. But like the drone thing and the Lily thing, those are relatively short-term spectacles. I think probably the next spectacle will probably switch back to all the stuff that Trump is going to do to save us in late January, early February. It will not work. But it's like, okay.
I hope some good comes out of it, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that's what people are going to try to switch to for their dopamine hit. What I'm saying is I don't think the dopamine hits will work. I think they mostly burn themselves out in the run up to the election.
For how many years? Like 2 years? Up to
2 years. Yeah. So it's like, okay, yeah. But again, what it will be during the holidays, it's virtually impossible to get a read because people are just. Ironically, the holidays are probably the best evidence for the benefits of ignoring the spectacle, because you're pulled out of your normal routine and you're placed into, oh, well, now I'm talking with family. I'm not paying so much attention to my phone or, the TV, depending on which generations you're in. Right. And so you can kind of see how people act when they're not force feeding themselves a steady diet of dopamine hits.
So you're saying these dopamine hits are the spectacle that needs to be ignored?
Yeah, but dopamine's addictive as hell.
No, that's what social media is. A lot of it. So
you can't totally ignore it. I mean, you're going to know the topic is out there.
Yeah, nowadays.
But you don't, everyone you follow might jump on and talk and do a show on whatever the spectacle is. But you certainly don't have to watch all of them. I mean, there's people that I generally watch their shows, and spectacle theme comes up. Okay, I'm gonna skip this one. I'm tired of that topic.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a conundrum that every content creator will face is do you try, is it just trying to chase the latest spectacle all day, every day, or do you have a mission and stick to your mission? And does that mean that you're going to be out of the news cycle, off, you're going to be doing something else and the spectacle is going to be over there and you're going to miss views? Yes, it does.
So this reminds me of a book. I've mentioned this before. I have it back at my house. It's Amusing Ourselves to Death by Neil Postman. I think it came out in the 1980s. It's about the television ads. It's like breaking news after these messages. Oh, it's so important, so breaking that you now have to put some advertisement in between. It's like you're creating spectacles for marketing and money and all this crap. And you're making spectacles out of what should be serious information.
Uh-oh, we lost Nick. He
Oh,
probably has
no.
to re-sign in.
Must be time to reboot his internet.
Yep. He'll figure it out here in a second.
Yeah. Hey,
But
you know what?
go ahead.
Didn't he join us late last Monday? And so it's almost a week to the hour when
Indeed
his
it
screen
is.
dropped out.
Indeed it is. But the book he's talking about, Amusing Ourselves to Death. Here,
Yeah.
I'll do that. He can rejoin.
Yeah.
The book he's talking is part of what it's talking about is this concept of you can literally, and a lot of people think that amusing yourself, it's like overloading on dopamine, kind of like a drug. No, it's sedating yourself to death. And the reason I say that is because people say, oh, but it's the latest rage, latest this, latest that. It's right. But by you raging about the latest thing that doesn't matter, you're spent, you're emotionally unconcerned about the things that do. You don't spend the time to go look. That's what bread and circuses. The circus is to draw your attention, is to give you the dopamine hit. The bread is to sedate you. It's to fill you up, to make you feel full.
Okay. And what aren't you thinking about? That's really simple. You're not thinking about anything else.
Exactly.
As long as you're being entertained and watching the spectacle, you're not having
back.
independent thought. You're not reading books. You're not contemplating the next great invention. And it's the independent thinkers who are not going with the flow who develop new ideas. Or, sometimes it's the independent thinkers who do tune into the spectacle, but they've been thinking independently, so they bring in a new take on the spectacle that can make sense of it. But they can't do that constantly because they'd just be following the flavor of the day. And then they wouldn't be thinking independently in order to have insightful comments. So, yeah, I mean, we're all going to fall into the problem of watching the spectacle. But also, you have to work on disciplining yourself to not follow every spectacle so you have time for independent thinking.
Yeah. Trading will teach you this. Either that or it'll take all your money and shake you off. One of the two. It's when you're trading, okay, for example, Wednesday, the FOMC rate decision is going to come out. Jay Powell is going to get up on podium and he's going to talk about how great the economy is. And that's the spectacle for this week in the finance world. We have to do this every 6 weeks. Why, God only knows. We could probably do it once a year and be just fine, if that. But every 6 weeks, we have to get together and have this financial spectacle. And every 6 weeks, I see the new traders come in. What should we do? How should we position? Is the market going to go up or down? And it's just, and the pros, they're sitting over there going, whatever, dude. Meh. I'll throw something on. We'll see if it works. Meh. And we've talked about weaponized indifference before. Same idea.
I've only lost money on one stock that I've ever invested in.
Well, there's
'Cause I
reasons
don't
for that.
panic. I don't panic. I just like, oh, here's a low. So traditionally, I just play the long run and okay. It's not
Right. Well, one of the things about long-term investing is it does take most of the emotion out of it. It also you're what we call a beta investor. So it also means that you tend to get you track with the highs and you track with the lows, right? You tend to track pretty closely. Now that can be good and bad. But
well,
the
I buy low. So
right. But the point here is that
yeah.
you aren't getting emotionally wrapped up in the and I mean, you want to talk about another major spectacle that gripped humanity for a year and a half? Oh, let's go talk about the COVID trading frenzy.
Hmm.
Is basically
Everybody's
from
panicking.
well, yeah, there was the panic in March, but then when it became clear that it bottomed, we spent the next year and a half going absolutely insane. Do you guys remember GameStop?
Oh yeah, I
Yes.
remember that. I thought that was hilarious.
Oh, I made so much money selling options to idiots on GameStop. It was hysterical. And everyone's like, how could you possibly sell options on GameStop? I'm just gonna go, how could you not? You're getting 400% volatility on this stock. Like, there's no way I can lose here. But it's just like, but that was the non-emotional response to it, right? And that was you just go in, you do it because that's what the math says to do. You don't care about the fact that GameStop is going crazy, right?
Hmm.
This is just another example of a spectacle that showed up. And why were the markets so popular in 2020, 2021? Because we were all locked in our houses with nothing better to do. And
Yep.
trading charts work
Glued
on
to
any
televisions, glued to the screen, glued to the news.
yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. The biggest IPO, isn't it coming out? It's going to be the biggest IPO ever. Starlink. Isn't that coming out?
SpaceX, yes. The current valuation I've seen is $350 billion, which is just insane. Now,
For SpaceX, or is
SpaceX,
it SpaceX?
it's SpaceX, yeah.
SpaceX has Starlink.
Correct.
Or
SpaceX owns and operates the Starlink satellite fleet.
Okay. So it hasn't been offered yet. Am I correct?
No, and it won't be offered over the holidays. The banks are basically closed, and you have to have a big bank do it for you, like a Goldman or a Merrill or somebody like that. And they're all closed.
So, okay, 350 billion. What's the capitalization of Apple or Microsoft or some of those big ones? 1-2 trillion?
Yeah. Let's see. There's 3 or 4 now. So I think there's 3 that are over $1 trillion. Nvidia, Apple, and Microsoft are over $1 trillion valuation. The exact numbers change every day, so I don't have them in my head.
So yeah, Starlink should be pretty big if it's coming out at 350.
That's just the initial valuation, right? That's
right, and it could easily double or triple from there.
Correct. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a lot of money. Yeah, that'll take some, or that'll be talked about for a while.
Hey, if you guys are looking for a new narrative in the new year, again, we don't know exactly when the SpaceX thing is coming out, except that I can say not this year, because the banks basically after the Federal Reserve decision, the big bank, you can actually, if you open up FlightAware or something, you can actually see the diaspora of private jets out from Teterboro and the other GA airports around New York, and it's all of the big decision makers at the banks leaving for their vacation homes for the holidays. So Wednesday night, you're going to see this huge diaspora out of New York. The Fed Reserve is the last thing on the big, what we call macro calendar. macroeconomics calendar. But yeah, after that, there won't be anybody with the authority to make a decision on the SpaceX IPO until probably January 5th or 6th. They'll come back on the 6th or 7th of next year. So after that, we'll see. We usually get about a week warning when because they have to publish it and all that, and it's usually it's either going to be a Monday or a Friday, probably Monday. So anyway, like that's. But yes, if you're looking for another spectacle, Steve, I think you might have just discovered it.
Well, let's speculate on the spectacle. If this is going to be that big a deal, you want optimism, maybe even euphoria in the stock market.
If you're Ellen, you do.
There's going to be spectacles with confirmation hearings and the
Right. So
and the
I'm thinking, you know what? With this hanging out there, the banks may want the market to keep going up.
No.
And the more it goes up, that affects the pricing of the IPO and its initial performance and all that. There's a lot to this.
And there's on this particular spectacle, money always reaches into people's emotions. It's one of the hardest aspects of doing anything related to trading is that it always reaches into your emotions. So if you need a spectacle that's going to reach into people's emotions, I can tell you right now on the basis of most of what I do on Twitter is actually looking at what we call FinTwit. This bunch of traders, macro bros, just various finance related people. And I can tell you right now that not only are we not in euphoria, most people have one foot out the door right now. Like they know that this is not the right time of year to short things because holidays are never a good time to short, but they're all loading up for shorts January, March, June is another date that's coming up, even December of next year. So they're all loading up for a big crash. The economic data is actually kind of a disaster. So the real economy is not doing that well. And I think we said on prior streams, Steve, that we think that there could be one big final run before real economy reality catches up with Fugazi over here. And
yeah,
SpaceX?
I'm still of that belief.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to time SpaceX offering for this this last gasp.
This last great spectacle of the markets.
Well, it's not the last, but
last of yours and mine lifetime.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Not sure. Well, we're getting close. Could it be another peak, drop, and then bring it back up again for the ultimate peak and then drop it? Maybe. Or is
possible,
this it?
But I wouldn't.
I don't know.
Possible, but that's not where I'm putting my money. Is how I'll say that, because this show is not investing advice, and we've said enough that I have to say that now. I mean,
right.
Seriously, what we're actually speculating on is what the next spectacle will be, and the SpaceX anything I've ever heard. I also know that the financial guys really aren't talking about it. So if it hits, it'll kind of feel, particularly to the negative bros out there, the ones who are like, this is going to all fall apart. I think it'll blindside them, which is actually the right way to get a good euphoria going. Is you get all the serious people and you blindside them, and then they're like, well, shit, I can't short this. I'm getting, because they have money on shorts and they're literally losing money. And so they're like, I have to get out and get long. That's what a euphoria looks like. But this is all just emotional manipulation. It's the next great dopamine hit.
Well, yeah, we don't know what's going to happen, but hey, maybe the foundation is being laid for something like this to happen. So whatever happens, be some high emotions, probably some economic, financial things in it. Just it's
Sure.
about time for one of those. Because we've went through the political
Mhm.
spectacle. We've gone through, well, various sexual spectacles. Well, yeah. I mean, there was the P. Diddy thing. That was a
There's a
Oh,
lot
sexual
of
yeah.
one.
parallels with the 1920s, guys.
There
A lot of-
really are.
When was
Just
the
saying.
last? Well, and we talked about the COVID financial spectacle.
That was almost
Isn't
5
it?
years ago.
Isn't it time for another financial spectacle?
I think from a business cycle standpoint, 5 to 7 years is about the financial cycle time.
Yeah,
And-
but in the news cycle, just forget about the financial cycle. The news cycle, they move from theme to theme. And we haven't
Yeah.
had a financial theme spectacle
Since
for a
inflation.
while.
Yeah, inflation was the big one. The last big.
Yeah,
Uh,
there was a lot of talk about that, but we were talking about inflation, what, a year ago?
yeah.
Everyone was worried about inflation. It was all over the news. There really hasn't been much financial, economic stuff in the news for quite a while. I think we're
Yeah,
due
and
for something in that area.
The
I mean
movie
the
Nope was about spectacle. I don't think I've seen that movie.
yeah, I haven't seen that either. Huh.
Huh.
Well, we'll have to go look that one up, Chief. But yeah, I mean there was, and I don't know if this made it out into the wider world. Maybe it didn't. But the last sort of big, you know, moment in the financial space was October 7th of last year. Everyone was convinced that that was it was going to blow up oil, and oil was going to 140, and this was going to crash the economy and stocks. That was the peak of stocks, and so even in the finance space, that was the last really big one. That was a year and a quarter ago now. My goodness. It's October 7th, 2023. 15 months ago. Yeah, you're right. We haven't had a big one in the finance space in a while where people really get on. I mean, Bitcoin going over 1,000, but or 100,000, but that hasn't been a big spectacle.
No, well, what was the previous peak? 68,000,
Yeah,
and then it's
68.
diddled around. And now went over 100. Oh, yeah. Knew it was going there. Still not enough people that own Bitcoin. And okay, even though it went down to 17,000 after it hit like 68, went down to 17. And now it's recovered to 107, or
Yep.
new high.
Whatever it was today.
It's still not, people are not been following it, and it's just like yawn. Oh yeah, those crypto assholes. Somebody made a lot of money again, but I'm not buying that. It's a Ponzi scheme. So people have their idea that okay, yeah, okay, and there's no FOMO yet
Right.
because it hasn't hit a mind-boggling number.
Yeah,
Now, if it hit,
compared to 68, it's 107 isn't that much more.
right. Now, if it hit 250,000. Like that's wow, that's a number. That might generate some FOMO, fear of missing out.
Ooh,
That's
emotions.
when the dumb shits go in and buy.
Buy
And
a
they-
high,
handwriting's
buy high
on the
and lose
wall.
their
It,
ass.
that's when they're buying from old man Steve over here, who's just casually handing it back to him. I mean, yes, we've gone far afield, but we're speculating about spectacle, and yeah, Steve, you might. I'm not saying that we know that that's what's going to happen, but you're right. It's been a while since we've had a good FOMO run in the markets. So okay, that could be one. But notice what I said there about what Steve would be doing if Bitcoin went on a run like that. Well, Steve would be selling, and he wouldn't be buying that. Oh shit. That's what the person who is in control of their emotions does. That's what the person who is not buying into the FOMO does.
Now,
So we're saying ignore the spectacle, but are we really saying ignore the spectacle, or are we saying you can be aware of it, but you can't let yourself get caught up in it?
yeah, exactly. Now, before we went down this, we said, yeah, probably there's going to be one big blow off. Well, a financial blow off, stocks, crypto, whatever. That will be kind of a spectacle. I'm expecting to see that.
Yep. Same here.
And you said the same thing. So, you know what? We could be wrong about the timing. I may not be the next spectacle,
Sure.
but we do think it's a spectacle in the waiting room.
In the waiting room.
Yep. Pretty good way to put it.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to be the next one. And if we're going to tie it to the SpaceX thing, then that's, nobody knows when that's going to happen, except to say not this year. So
By just us even mentioning it, we prepare our handful of audience to, oh yeah, okay. Oh, I see it. I'm not going to get caught up in this. I'm not going to do something stupid based on emotions during the spectacle. Well, we can only hope. I can only hope that
what, you don't go buy
I do
more
the right
Bitcoin?
thing. Oh, no, that I don't say, oh, it's going higher. Oh, I'm not going to sell yet.
Yeah, one of the old axioms of markets is never try to time a top. Never try to time a top. Just if things go parabolic and straight up, you just need to be selling. That's just, you've just got to be doing that. And you need to be not thinking about it. But that's, it's the hardest thing for people to do because they get caught up in the emotion of the markets and the emotion of the money. Because I mean, we all know how bad it feels to open up your brokerage and see the red there, when you've been losing money. We all know how bad that feels. But no one
It
talks about how,
happens.
yeah, but no one talks about how great it feels when you wake up and your portfolio, it's up 5% in a day.
It
That
happens.
shit messes with people's heads, something fierce though. I have seen it way too many times. Part of the reason people are so convinced that we're going to have a big crash, and they've been convinced we're going to have a big crash since 2021 for 4 years now, is because in COVID, you could literally quintuple a portfolio overnight. So you could take 5,000, turn it into 25, turned into, 125, 150. And you did all of that in the space of 5 days. And there were people who did that.
that shit fucks with your head. Because spectacles are designed not by the people creating the spectacle, but just the spectacle. Your brain is designed to get emotionally caught up in it. So,
Oh, so you're saying perhaps recognize a spectacle is going on and don't get caught up on it, and perhaps just ignore it. Don't be emotional.
well, and here's the
Yep.
thing. We can take it back to the red pill. If you don't get caught up in the spectacle of Lily, you don't give her attention. You don't give her the clout. You don't give her the even think about it this way. You don't give her the reason to take 100 men. You don't give 100 or 1,000 men. You don't give 1,000 men a reason to sign up. You think those men are there, so to get their little bit of fame of saying, yeah, I fucked an OF girl, a popular. I mean, guys do that. What was the old joke in high school? Or what was the this porn star, that porn star, right? Guys wanted that back then too. That meant you were a real Chad, right? That you were a real man, right? You could tame a porn star. Well, and oh well, yeah, shoo, fantasy and gambling. We haven't even talked about that. I mean, how many different ways do you have to get yourself caught up these days? OF is a way to do it. Vegas sports books are doing record profits right now. Wall Street's laughing all the way to the bank.
But if I study all those players and trade and get my perfect fantasy football team, I could make like $1,000.
Okay. Congratulations.
time
I could
better
spend
spent
I could
elsewhere.
spend 10 hours a week doing all the research and following all this shit.
No. You're just going to lose money. Chief, you have hit the watchword of the day, and that is frame. All these people chasing all these spectacles have no frame. It could be the Lily spectacle. It could be the drone spectacle. It could be a coming financial spectacle. It could be all of those. But they have no frame. The world controls them. So, I mean, yeah, we can talk about the spectacles. And shit, we have opinions about the spectacles. We're not unaware of them. But I've already gotten a lot of work done today. Probably get some more done too after this.
You know what?
Yep.
Could this Lily thing be a buy the rumor, sell the news? In other words, there's all this talk now about the 100 and the rumor of 1,000. When the 1,000, it may not even happen. And if it happens, she had her 15 minutes of fame. It's quite possible no one will care.
Yeah.
Like the Hawk Tua girl, that spectacle as well.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's another good one. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But we forgot about that one.
Yeah. Did you hear how she capitalized on her fame?
Oh, God.
Yeah, I was like, I just didn't care. Like,
she might be going
that's
to court
interesting. They
over
got.
Then
I saw all these guys in like then everybody started buying the hats and everything. They're supposedly
No.
trad cons. I'm like, really,
No,
guys?
no.
Really?
That's small potatoes.
Oh,
She did. She developed a Hawk Tua cryptocurrency,
I heard.
and basically, do you know the term rug pull, Nick?
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it was sold, and what? It immediately dropped in value by 90% or something like that.
Something like that.
It probably bottomed out around 95, 96. And it recovered a little bit, but it was basically a $50 million theft. And so she's probably headed to court over that one. And she's totally unapologetic about it. And what likely happened is she started listening to a crypto bro who told her great stories about all the wealth you can make in crypto. And this guy was probably, so there was another crypto bro who was tracking all this, and he watches the chains, and he was like, he got on a stream with her, and he was basically saying, well, why were you guys said you weren't doing all this selling, so where did all this selling come from? Oh, right, I tracked it too. It wasn't her account, it was like her producer's account or something. And they were trying to say, no, our lockups don't present it or prevent us from doing that. And so he says, okay, so why is your wallet on the chain? So, it's like, and his point was, you guys, you do realize these things are trackable in public, right? Like, it's a public ledger system. So, but she's probably going to court over the whole thing. And somebody pointed out that even if the rug pull itself wasn't a problem, they made $2 million in fees, in transaction fees. So she walks away with a cool $1 million, I think. But that spectacle has now passed, and it'll be next year before we even hear anything on the legal side. So, or guys, you can just, as Chief said, maintain your frame, not get caught up in buying a meme coin from a aggressively mid girl who just happened to say something that caught the imagination of a bunch of simps for a while.
Nick, you haven't worn your Hawk Tua hat on our stream yet.
I don't have one. I couldn't believe when people are buying that shit. I'm like, and they're the trad cons, Christian. I'm like, guys,
Well, the trad cons were all over her too, because she was, she's Alabama, I think is where she's from. And, she was pro Trump, of course, and she got popular in the run up to the election. And she, of course, the whole Hawk Tua thing it presents as a pro man message, right?
It's a spectacle, though. Because
the trad cons,
attention, clout, and money, and you're feeding the freaking bear.
The trad cons have bought into the view, along with the church, that all you have to do to solve all your problems is market yourself better. It's the church.
Well, I got an early start tomorrow, so
okay. Well,
yeah. We're just rambling now anyway.
We are. But this particular topic gets me because it's psych hacking groups of people, and I sit here and I go, I'm beyond the whole, oh, how could they all be this easily manipulated? And I'm actually sitting here trying to think, how can we convince men to not be manipulated this easily? And to some extent, they're just going to be that easily manipulated, a large portion. But, for you guys out there following along, I don't know, how do we think, we tried to demonstrate tonight, I think, a lot of different ways or examples of how we approached the latest spectacle. And, Nick still doesn't have his Hawk Tua hat. Steve still hasn't he still hasn't sold out and gone all bare on the world because he hasn't seen what he's looking for to do that. Let's see what. Oh yeah, I haven't bought any of the drone UFO stuff yet, despite being a pilot and hyper plugged into that world. Like, is what we do boring? Is how we live more boring? Are we? I don't know, guys. You tell me. Is your life? Are you properly emotionally engaged in the world or no?
I mean, like outside of off the screen,
I don't know. Most guys
touching
don't want.
grass.
Most guys don't want a lot of drama, but we
Oh.
want
Right.
some. We need some excitement, especially we're not getting any action at home.
Well, but
Hey,
Steve,
and
the Tradcons will tell
Yeah.
you that all you have to do to get more action at home is to wife up one of those whores at church.
right, but there's a lot of virtue signaling going on by these guys. And they got a lot of time and energy to focus on things. If they were satisfied at home, they probably wouldn't have that much energy to focus on these things. And they wouldn't be so concerned with virtue signaling to the women. Could it be just all nice guys and trying to win favor by simping, white knighting, whatever?
Yeah.
Could also be money. Make money off the dumb church guys.
Oh, there's plenty of that going on. But I honestly, I think
Huh?
that's women driving that one more even. I mean, there's plenty of men out there doing it, but I think if you look around, you'll find a lot of women are behind those men telling them how to do it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know, Nick. Do you think I'm wrong there?
Oh, I don't know. Just how devious are they? I don't know.
I
And if
don't
they
know.
know what's
Yeah.
going to sell, then yeah, you might if you have a presence and you have media to sell or a thing that can sell, particularly off the emotions of men with regards to women, yeah, sure. You might
Yeah.
have a
There's
woman
a
behind you helping
handful.
you.
Yeah.
There's a handful of them out there that are absolutely that devious.
But that's all it
But
takes. Yeah. That's all it takes. You don't need a lot. I think that's the other thing people miss is it doesn't take a lot of people who are willing to cravenly capitalize on something to cravenly capitalize on something. And the church is offering up gobs of money to any woman right now, particularly to go out and tell men. I mean, look, Nala. Okay, yeah, she's a reasonably good looking girl. Yeah, okay, yeah, she's good looking. How is that going to play to all the churchmen out there who say, wait, a church guy married that? Oh, I got to get into church and I got to see what's there. Of course, they find out what's there. That's a that's a problem for the church, but that's a problem for tomorrow. Short term, all this marketing stuff, all these spectacles are also just short termism, which also means you can safely ignore it.
Yep. Ignore the spectacle. Ignore the spectacle, guys.
I mean,
Well,
don't be unaware that it's happening, and if you can, if you're trading and you can trade off the spectacle, you see something you can capitalize on, do it, but don't stick around, and don't get caught up in the spectacle. I think that's really the message. Yes, Chief. Boring is good. Life goes sideways fast. Exactly. I mean, Here's another for you red pill guys out there. The marriages that tend to succeed are the boring ones. So,
All right.
Theoretically, sometimes a boring marriage might seem good, and then it just all blows up too.
well, I mean, if
Hmm.
she doesn't, the woman has to want the boring. If the woman can stand the boring, then she'll be okay. But
I think that's my second marriage was pretty boring.
and
And
then
it
it
was
and then it wasn't.
good. And then it blew up.
Yeah.
But there's always some factor that might trigger something. Because there's no
Yep.
guarantees in life.
Yeah, you don't
I mean,
own her.
Yeah, you can increase your probabilities, but there's no certainty.
Yeah. Well, I think we've said what we need to say. Please
Okay.
ignore the spectacles. Maintain your frame, guys. It is your frame, not their frame. Don't give it to them. Anything else,
right.
guys?
So what do we got Wednesday?
No clue.
No idea.
Okay.
We'll figure something out. And
We'll brainstorm real quick.
probably, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. We've only got 3 more episodes for the rest of the year because our Wednesday show would be on Christmas Day and New Year's Day. So that ain't happening. Not only because you guys should be out with your families, to our fellow watchers out there, but because that's where we will be as well. So, yeah, we've got the 18th, 23rd, and 30th coming up. And we'll definitely figure it out. You guys actually kind of saw what I'm working on for next Monday. In one of when I was showing my tweets. It's another narrative device that I want to explore. So you guys kind of saw it.
Now, guys, please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Share it with your friends.
Well, share this video if you have a friend who is out there just pearl clutching over Twitter or Fox News or whatever the latest thing is. Just send them this one. And if you disagree with us, leave us a comment. We don't respond quickly, but we do try to respond at some point. I mean, we all do have day jobs. And as I said, I'm probably going to go back to work after this.
Okay. See you later.
Yep. We will see you Wednesday.